Growing up, I had dreams and aspirations, but always felt like the kid that didn't fit in. For the most part, I wasn't a bad kid, but when I made the transition into adulthood, I turned to the streets for guidance. This led to getting locked up in juvenile hall, doing time in CYA, and eventually a 120-month sentence in federal prison. I had a lot of time to think and reflect during my federal sentence, so I share with you what I learned, hoping I can positively influence someone else's life with Prison Talk. What's up, everybody? Big Kirk with Prison Talk, and I want to say thanks for tuning in to another episode. You guys have been very supportive and pushed us to over 100K subscribers on YouTube, and we really appreciate you guys. And if you haven't got a chance to check out our Instagram and YouTube, our Instagram and Twitter, actually do so. It's under FreshOutSeries. Also our SoundCloud, which is FreshOutSeries. Also check out our website, which is www.freshoutseries.com. Any emails, shoot us an email at freshoutseries@gmail.com. I had a question from one of our viewers. How do you deal with a time gap? People that do a significant amount of time miss a large gaps in their lives on the streets. Have you ever had this problem? What this individual is talking about is basically when you're locked down for a certain amount of time, a lot of time it's like you're in a time warp. So I got locked up when I was 25, and didn't get out till when I was 34. And so you got a gap there, and the only memories you have is when you were on the street free at 25. So you have a gap between 25 to 34 where you were incarcerated. So you keep reminiscing, and a lot of times going back to the same things you did when you were 25. And for a lot of guys, when they get out, they actually still act the age they were when they got locked up. And they call that living in your second childhood, because these guys have missed that part of life where, say, a guy was locked up from 22 to 40, he still feels he's 22 because that's where his strongest relationship to the world is. You know, that's where he was actually out involved in society. When you get free, when you leave prison, you don't really reminisce about memories in prison. You have nightmares about prison, you know, but you don't reminisce about experiences as far as things of sharing with your family, because it's not things that are make you feel good. You know, you think about times you were on the street. You know, when you get out, you think about, man, I remember when I was out before, I was doing this, I was dating this girl, or I was hanging out with my kids, I was hustling, I was doing this. These are all things that you flash back to. So from, say, 25 to 34, the only flashbacks I have, or the only life experience I have, are incarcerated. So I don't really draw to those for substance. You know, when I do think about them, they're horrible experiences, man. No interaction with my family, you know, locked down, a lot of violence, a lot of negativity, you know, and it's just things I don't want to really think about. So that time gap is very significant. And a lot of times these guys have, it's almost post-traumatic syndrome, you know, PTSD, because they haven't experienced so much negativity. When you get out, you're trying to cope with a regular society where people handle things differently. You know, people talk. They don't just get mad and stab somebody. Just because somebody changes the TV, you're not going to go and beat them up. You know, it's a different mentality. And so, you know, you get out, you're in your culture shock, you're in a mental shock. You know, you're trying to, you know, go to a regular job, you try to do regular things, and the time gap thing, it just, you know, people are like, hey man, what you been up to over the last few years, blah, blah, blah. And it's like you're trying to make something make sense, but then you don't really want to go and explain where you've been at. So yeah, it's a rough transition for, you know, somebody who's been down, I would say, more than a couple years, because you miss a lot when you're not, you know, when you're not free. So the time gap is a serious situation.